Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the deep dive. Have you ever looked at photos taken with a new phone and thought, wow, how are smartphone cameras this good now? Sure, better lenses help. But the real game changer, it's the image signal processor, or ISP, a tiny chip that works behind the scenes. Today, we'll dive into the magic behind mobile photography and show you how chips, not just glass, make your photos look stunning.
It really is amazing, isn't it? We tend to focus on the lens, the glass part, and yeah, that's crucial for gathering the light. But the real magic, the transformation, that happens after the sensor. That's where this image signal processor, the ISP, comes in. It's like this hidden, super fast digital darkroom right inside your phone.
A digital darkroom, I like
Uh,
that. Okay, so for most of us who just, point and click, what exactly is this ISP? Why is it so important for getting a photo we actually want to post?
right. So uh, at its heart, the ISP is a specialized chip. It's hardware built for one main job,
Mm-hmm.
taking all that raw, messy data that comes pouring off the camera sensor
Mm-hmm.
and turning it to a clean, vibrant picture that looks good. Think of it maybe like a super fast chef taking raw ingredients and whipping up a finished dish, but in fractions of a second.
Okay, so it's not just like turning up the brightness, it's doing some really complex stuff, pixel by pixel, that we don't even notice. What kind of jobs does it handle?
A whole bunch of things. Critically, noise reduction, that cleans up the graininess, especially in photos taken when it's a bit dark. Then there's color correction, making sure the reds look red, blues look blue, getting the colors accurate to what you actually saw.
Uh-huh.
And, super important, autofocus, making sure your subject is sharp,
Mm-hmm.
fast. It often includes face detection too, so people are prioritized,
Yeah.
sharp and well lit. And another big one is HDR, high dynamic range. That's about balancing scenes with really bright parts like the sky and really dark parts like shadows on the ground. The ISP blends different exposures together to capture detail in both.
Wow. Okay, so without this ISP chip, the picture from the sensor would be, well, pretty bad. Flat, noisy, maybe weird colors.
Pretty much, yeah. It would be technically an image, but not something you'd recognize or want to share. The ISP is the absolute crucial step. It's the brain, turning that raw sensor data into something polished, ready for Instagram or whatever.
It really bridges the gap between what the sensor sees and what our eyes perceive, or even better sometimes.
Exactly. It's not just making it viewable, it's aiming for something that looks great, maybe even a bit artistic, right out of the camera.
And you mentioned low light. That feels like where phones used to really struggle, but now they can be surprisingly good. How does the ISP pull that off? Like in a dim restaurant or at night?
Yeah, low light is where the ISP really earns its keep. See, the sensor doesn't get much light in those situations, so the raw data is noisy. What the ISP does is uh, very clever. It doesn't just take one picture. It takes a quick burst of several photos almost instantly.
Okay.
Then it intelligently lines up these multiple frames, aligns them perfectly, and merges them. By averaging them out, it cancels out a lot of that random noise, that graininess.
Ah, so it's sort of constructing a cleaner image from multiple messy ones. Does it do anything special for people's faces in those dark shots so they don't look weird?
Absolutely. This is where AI often comes into play, integrated right into the ISP's logic. It identifies faces in the scene, and then it selectively enhances them. It might sharpen the features a little, adjust the skin tones to look more natural, make sure they're properly exposed, even if the background is dark.
And all this complex analysis and merging and fixing happens instantly when I press the button.
Faster than you can blink, usually.
Yeah.
That's the amazing part. Real-time, intelligent processing, making decisions pixel by pixel. It's incredibly computationally intensive.
That speed is hard to wrap your head around. How do they get these things so fast and powerful?
Well, that leads to a key trend in chip design. These ISPs, they're usually not separate, standalone chips anymore. For years now, they've been integrated directly onto the main brain of the smartphone, the SO, or system on chip. Having the ISP right there next to the main processor, the CPU, and the graphics processor, the GPU, means data can fly between them super quickly. No bottlenecks.
Like having the photo editing software built right into the camera sensor itself, almost.
Kind of, yeah. A very, very fast automated editor.
And the big chip companies, they're really pushing this, right? Competing on camera capabilities. Any specific examples jump out?
Oh, definitely. Look at Apple's A-series chips, like the A17 Pro. They talk about their advanced ISP modules. They specifically mention hardware acceleration for things like HDR. That means parts of the chip are physically designed just for doing that HDR calculation really, really fast. It's not just software running on a general processor. That helps deliver that consistently great dynamic range and color.
Dedicated hardware just for photos. Okay. What about the Android side? Qualcomm.
Qualcomm Snapdragon chips are huge players. The Snapdragon 8 Gen 3, for example, boasts about processing massive images, like up to 200 megapixels. But it's not just the megapixels. It's having the horsepower to handle that fire hose of data and apply sophisticated AI enhancements in real time. Think better scene recognition, understanding depth, smarter adjustments.
200 megapixels.
Wow. And MediaTek, they're big too, especially with phones using multiple cameras, right?
Exactly. MediaTek's Dimensity series often highlights its ability to handle multi-camera setups smoothly, so pulling data from the main, the ultra-wide, and the telephoto lens all at once. This lets the ISP do clever things, like fusing information from different lenses for better zoom or portrait effects. They also push features like 4K HDR video fusion, applying that dynamic range balancing to video, not just stills.
It really hammers home that these ISPs aren't just processors anymore. They're more like intelligent partners in taking the photo. That's a great way to put it. Intelligent co-creators. They're interpreting the scene along with you and making countless decisions to get the best possible result.
And we've mostly talked about still photos, but this must impact video too, right? And other camera features.
Oh, absolutely. The ISP's influence on video is massive. Think about cinematic mode on some phones, where you get that nice background blur, the bokeh effect, but in real-time video. That's the ISP working incredibly hard, constantly identifying the subject, mapping the depth of the scene, and applying that blur frame by frame as you're recording.
Keeping that blur smooth even when things move.
Mm,
Yeah, that sounds intense.
it really is. And it enables recording in super high resolutions like 4K or even 8K, often with HDR applied as well. The amount of data being processed is just staggering. The ISP is the engine making that possible on a device that fits in your hand.
What about augmented reality, IR, where you overlay virtual things onto the real-world view from the camera? Does the ISP help there?
Definitely. For AR to work well, for virtual objects to look like they're actually in the room with you, the phone needs a good understanding of depth and surfaces. The ISP helps process the camera feed to create better, more accurate depth maps. This helps place those virtual objects much more realistically. So your virtual sofa looks like it's sitting on your floor, not floating above it.
Ah, okay, that makes sense. And portrait mode. Everyone loves that blurry background effect. How does the ISP nail that?
Portrait mode is really a showcase for the ISP. It uses depth information, sometimes from multiple lenses, sometimes using AI to estimate depth, and then uses sophisticated algorithms to precisely identify the edges of your subject, a person, a pet, whatever. Then it carefully applies a realistic-looking blur to everything behind that subject. It's mimicking what expensive DSLR cameras do with wide aperture lenses, but it's doing it computationally, using the ISP's power. It's pure computational photography magic.
It's really reshaping what we think is possible with the phone camera. So, looking ahead, what's next? Where do these chips go from here?
The trend seems clear. Even more specialization, more power, and crucially, much deeper integration of AI and machine learning. We're moving towards cameras that don't just capture what you point them at, but maybe even start to anticipate what makes a good photo for you.
Anticipate, like how? What kind of advancements would allow that?
Well, think about even smarter AI scene recognition. Your phone knows it's a sunset beach scene. Maybe it even knows you tend to like slightly warmer, more saturated sunset shots, and it subtly adjusts for that. Or maybe automatic style transfer, applying an artistic look based on the scene's mood without you picking a filter. We're also seeing moves towards per-frame tuning for video, making sure the color and exposure stay consistent and smooth across an entire video clip, not just optimizing each frame in isolation.
So better video consistency. And you mentioned personalization. Like the phone learning my style, that sounds potentially game-changing.
Exactly. On-device machine learning is key here. The phone could learn your shooting habits, your preferred compositions, the kind of lighting you favor, the typical adjustments you make after taking a shot, and it could start to automatically tune the results to match your personal aesthetic, your vibe, right as you take the picture.
Wow. So the phone could learn my photographic eye, essentially.
Potentially, yeah.
Yeah.
Imagine it subtly guiding the settings or processing to produce images that feel inherently like yours without you fiddling with pro modes. It's moving from a tool to more of a creative collaborator.
That level of personalization is fascinating. It really changes the whole dynamic.
It does. It's less about just capturing reality and more about capturing your interpretation of it, aided by some very smart silicon.
So next time you snap a perfect shot on your phone, remember it's not just the lens doing the work.
That's right. There's a seriously powerful chip, the ISP, working incredibly hard behind the scenes, making you look good, interpreting, correcting, enhancing, all in an instant.
If you liked this deep dive, give us a like, subscribe, and share. Next time on the deep dive, we'll uncover the hidden global supply chain behind your smartphone. See you then.